Hey, I'm John Cannell, and today on Preppy Kitchen, we're making a quick, delicious beer bread that's so light and fluffy, it really is like a light, buttery biscuit. So let's get started. First off, set that oven to 375, grab a 9x5 inch loaf pan, and butter it lightly. I'm also gonna add in a sheet of parchment paper just so it lifts out really easily. No fuss, no muss. Plop that right in, and on with the recipe. Into a large bowl, I'm adding 3 cups or 360 grams of all-purpose flour. This beer bread comes together in one bowl, no dishes to do. I'm adding 3 tablespoons of sugar in. And if you haven't had beer bread before, oh my gosh, think of it as like a giant biscuit loaf. It's so tender and delicious, and it just has a nice whiff of yeast from the beer. It's so delicious. For leavening, I'm adding 1 tablespoon of baking powder. And for more flavor, I'm adding a teaspoon of salt. If you're using a fine table salt, I would add in like 3/4 of a teaspoon. My scale is all done. Just gonna whisk this up to combine. I was curious about how beer bread was invented and like what's the deal with this. Like, it's so delicious, but it's kind of odd to just pour beer into batter. So it turns out that Irish soda bread uses buttermilk as an acid to react with baking soda. People started using Guinness, which is acidic, and that reacted with the baking soda. Here we're using baking powder, but the beer gives us a delicious taste and aroma. Use a beer that you enjoy. This is like a honey. Oh dear. It's been a long day. I'm using a light and delicious honey IPA, so it has like nice honey notes throughout, really works well with the bread. Don't use something like super bitter or really powerful. All right, pour the beer in and whisk, whisk, whisk. Yes, the beer has carbonation that's giving you, I guess, a little bit of a lift, but honestly, it's the baking powder that's doing almost all the work here. I will say that compared to Irish soda bread, this is a little bit less dense, although that is also delicious. If you don't use alcohol at home, you can still make this recipe with non-alcoholic beer and you'll get a wonderful yeasty taste and it'll be delicious. So try it out. Oh my gosh, this smells so good. Mix that up just until the flour disappears, and then you can scoop or pour this into your prepared loaf pan. This smells so good. Make sure that you use a beer that has a nice aroma for this. And if you're wondering, the alcohol bakes off, so no one's gonna get tipsy from eating this. Melt 2 tablespoons of butter, and we're gonna pour this all over the top, and it'll infuse in as we bake. I'm using a 9x5 inch loaf today, but if you wanna use an 8x4, that works too. Your loaf will be a little bit smaller, but a little bit taller. This goes into the oven 375 for 40 to 45 minutes or until it's golden and the skewer comes out clean. Then one final delicious step. Once it's out of the oven and smelling amazing, we're gonna brush the entire thing with 1 tablespoon of melted butter. This is like the most delicious loaf of biscuit you ever had, and it's perfect with like basically everything, but it's really nice in the morning. Almost forgot, lift this out, place it onto a wire rack to cool, and we can get rid of the paper now too. And now we can brush the sides with butter as well, all over. Out of the oven, it smells so good. That is so light and fluffy. I love the taste of it too. It really is like a light, buttery biscuit. I hope you get a chance to make this recipe, and if you like this video, check out my quick bread playlist.